Hello, team. So we are 8th of June Masterclass, which unfortunately was meant to be the April one, but my little mishap of a heart operation got in the way. I am here and sitting, so thank you for people that were asking how I was. Um, I am all right in that I'm functioning and look human, but I don't actually know until the middle of June whether it has worked or not. So we will find out then. But in the meantime, we're going full Pinks Boutique. So what I've done with these masterclasses, I just find that I've got so many things called a masterclass that I'm turning the name of these to Pinks Pro Sessions, because it's exactly that. It's the professional Pinks Boutique therapists and owners that are in here. And as always, I'll be taking us through a multitude of things. Basically, if you haven't done one of these before, I have lots of different sections and kind of throw lots of different bits because it's my one chance to really get to you. So we'll be looking at some product knowledge. I'm going to focus on oils today because obviously a lot of us consume, it's the thing we consume most in the salon, body oils. So to make sure that we're really refreshed and happy on the body oils. I also want to look at some of the marketing bits coming up. So like gift with purchases. From a magic touch point of view, I want to have a look at gel nails. Now I know that's weird because we don't sell gel products, but remember the first part of my career was heavily with our beauty schools, heavily nail dominated. So you suddenly give me an acrylic brush and a lint-free wipe, and I feel in a very safe space, oddly, apart from the chemical fumes coming off it. And I know how much gel is being done, and I know how problematic it is from a profitability point of view. So those people who are in our treat course at the moment, which is our big business coaching course, like one of the things they struggle with most in the maths is how unprofitable gel treatments can be and how many of them they might be doing. So trying to think of how can we make it better than anyone else's, because then maybe we can hopefully charge more for it as well. And then I've got some thoughts about consultations and how we make those better, because that will help with all treatments. And then at the end, I want to start having a think about lower back QL muscle, because I like that kind of, we always want to have something in these which is about actual treatment and making the treatment better and making us better all the time, basically. So that's the game plan. Let's get ourselves a screen. So Kirstie has to move everything around. Okay, it's the correct screen. Hold on. Let me get myself in the right place. This is not usually the computer I do Zoom on. So I'm just learning my way around this one. You might see my background's changed. I'm in a different place. I'm really shaking things up in the building right now. Okay. And shout if I get in the way of the screen. Let's go. Okay, so we should see, give me a thumbs up, you guys, if you can see the beige screen. Perfect. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to think about oil. So those of you that are making notes, if you put body oils as your title. And the first section, you'll see the little icon with the graduation hat on, is I always have to have a bit of skin academic in here. I can't help the learning piece. And before we go into our oil bottles, I want to explain how cold pressed and refined oils work for all brands, because it will really help you understand what you've got to explain to people about your Pinks Boutique oils. So when you produce seed oils, so we call them seed oils, some people call them carrier oils, but they're the base oil, things like grapeseed oil you would have drowned in at college, wheat germ oil, apricot oil, jojoba oil. Those are the oils we're talking about that make the bulk of an oil bottle. Most ingredient manufacturers will refine them because refining gives you the biggest yields and you make the most money. So no surprise, a lot of them choose that way. But the way they do it, you would take the seeds of whatever the plant is, they get crushed, but they then get treated with a solvent extraction. So it's normally hexane or some sort of petroleum byproduct. and they get incredibly heated. So they get heated to near on sometimes 270 degrees, which basically you imagine putting a carrot in a pan at home and taking it to even 150, like all the antioxidants, all the enzymes, everything that good that was meant to be there is not. Now, seed oils tend to be, as a rule, quite yellowy orange, and they never always look pure in color. They can look a bit bitty, like when you've got the real natural versions. And apparently humans don't like that. So what then happens to them is they get bleached and they get deodorized to make it look completely uniform, so that when you see it in a clear bottle, it looks exactly perfectly the same as last time. There's no color changes, that it's neutral, because apparently that keeps a human happy. They think they're getting the same thing. And sometimes they will then put preservatives in them as well. So the bonuses of these are you get a really long shelf life on them. They tend to be cheaper. So if you imagine walking in, I grew up in a wholesaler's, walking into a wholesale store and you can buy like 5-litre bottles of wheat germ oil or 5-litre bottles of grapeseed, they will absolutely have been these refined versions. That's how you were paying the prices you were for them. But what's interesting is when it gets to brand world, quite often the brands have got these in as well because they're cheaper. But the downside is you end up with like no nutrient value, and they're really not aligned with what Proverb or Pinks would be doing. So remember, we sell these oils in Proverb and Pink's Boutique. So our version, we often will always go for a cold pressed oil. So what happens is same seeds get crushed, but there is none of those hexane or bleaching chemical agents put in them. They are not heated to a high temperature either. So they're actually, instead, they're called what's mechanically pressed. So the seeds get pressed, and they don't tend to get them more than about 49 degrees C. Then they get filtered. So any like lumps get filtered out like you would with a sieve at home, but they keep their natural color, which is why sometimes you will buy a Pink's Boutique oil and it will be more orange or less orange than the last time, because it really depends on the harvest and what's happened to that exact plant and ingredient. So they retain their color, they retain their scent, but critically, they retain all the nutrient profile. So if you have selected ingredients because you wanted the vitamins that were inside them or the antioxidants, they still are there. What's annoying about the refined version is in their marketing, they will still say they're there, because arguably, if you take apricot oil, for instance, which has vitamin A, it does have vitamin A. They're saying it's got vitamin A. Well, it did before it got heated to 270 degrees. And so the result is you get really kind of rich nutrients. You get oils that are much better at supporting and healing skin barrier, that align with, in Proverb, I'll get out what you put in, our Pink's nothing but the truth. They do get more expensive, and you do get slightly shorter shelf life. Now, the shelf life difference is not crazy. Oil self-preserves. It's very clever in that sense. So it is a self-preserving. We don't need to add anything else into it, preserve it. So when we make it, you're still looking at least 2 years for the oils. And with oils, it's always really about making sure that the air doesn't get to them so that they retain their strength. You're not losing the essential oils. Now, why this all matters. Your skin is the largest organ. We know that. We know that what we put on can go in. But the other thing is, I need people to understand that when you're using a Pink's Boutique or a Proverb oil, you're not just giving a massage. You're genuinely feeding the skin. And you need your guest and client to understand that, because to some degree, they might just think it's oil, could be any old oil. We need them to know that the end result of the treatment isn't just what you've done with the muscles and the fascia and the connective tissues in your massage elements. It's also what the oil is doing in the skin. And my quick analogy at the bottom, I was like, way you could explain it to guests, I'll make sure I'm out of the way. Hold on. Refined oils are like fast food, cheap, convenient, stripped of the nutrients, where your cold pressed ones are more like giving them a fresh juice, vibrant, nourishing, alive. So the first thing you want to really think about and put down in your notes is that when you're using either the body massage oils in pinks, or you're using facial oils, or you're selling them any of the oils for retail, like ultra calm oil or anti-aging serum, that you really need to explain to them this kind of cold pressed juice idea, because it keeps all the vitamins that they want. And also when you're explaining to them, okay, I'm about to do your deep tissue massage, add on, we'll be using our, so this is your quote, we'll be using our bioactive Pink's Boutique oils. They're really rich in vitamins because they're cold pressed. So as well as doing your massage on your muscles, I'm going to be nourishing and giving your skin a treatment too. Because if you're using an oil which is genuinely more expensive than walking into a wholesaler's and just picking up a bottle of grapeseed oil, we've got to let them understand that, because that's your point of difference. That's what you're doing. You're going way and beyond and above what other people are. And it's one of the reasons why when you massage with it, you'll find at the end, people don't feel like they've been hit by an oil slick, because the skin really likes to suck it in. It knows what's in it. It wants those nutrients, and it kind of eats it all up. So that is the case for kind of how all oil is produced for the beauty industry. What I'm then going to do is take our specific oils and revise those, our Pink's Boutique oils. So back to our little share. Okay. So with all your Pink's Boutique oils, we have 3 things that are in the base. Makes it easy for all your body massage oils. So whether that is your Rose Relax, your Sweet Orange Escape, your Lemongrass Detox, or your Wild Mint Invigorate, they all have the 3 cold pressed base oils. And your first one is apricot. Now, the reason we wanted apricot, if you think for apricot, it's got lots of vitamin A. And obviously, as an industry, we know that people are pretty obsessed by vitamin A. But vitamin A is great for skin elasticity, for suppleness. It also goes in nicely because remember, all oils are different molecule sizes. So when we pick them, we're picking molecule sizes that we want, that specifically we want to go into the skin. Whereas when you buy big bottles of cheaper oil, always check, they're often mixed sometimes as well with paraffin liquid oil, which is a huge molecule. It's like a beach ball. It sits on the surface. So it's good as a barrier, but it won't go in. So think to yourself, vitamin A, apricot. That's our first one. Then next one down, I'll duck, sunflower. So we want sunflower because it's got a really, really high vitamin E content. And vitamin E is amazing for all skin healing, but really good specifically also for menopause. So sunflower is quite good when we're getting into our 40s and 50s. And then the last one, I have to really duck for this one, jojoba. So jojoba is a fascinating oil because it's the closest mimic to sebum. So when it sits on the skin surface, your body recognizes it like it recognizes sebum, and makes it incredibly useful for both oily skincare and dry skincare, which makes it an interesting oil. And it's why you sometimes find it in products that are made for oily skins, because it sits there and it calms the sebaceous glands down because they go, oh, I've already got sebum, don't need any more. Whereas you'll also find it in anti-aging products because it sits on the surface and helps replace the sebum that isn't there because of the slowdown of sebaceous production. So you're remembering apricot, sunflower, jojoba. But people like the science detail. So what you really want to remember is we're really rich in vitamin A, really rich in vitamin E, and providing a really balancing element to the your skin barrier with the jojoba. Because apricot, sunflower, jojoba sound really pretty, but if you're competing with salons that are using things like a Dermalogica, where they haven't got as much prettiness to talk about, they're always talking about science, then we want those science elements there as well. Okay, so that's our first section, our oil revision. So we've looked at what refined is and cold pressed, and then looked specifically at our oils. Now, I'm going to go into the flavors next. So we're really sure on what the essential oils are. I always send these documents over and I'll put them in our business hub. So just a reminder that Pinks has a business hub. It's a Google Drive file, so you can get to it either on your desktops or you can get to it on your phone. And there is a Pinks business hub. And that business hub has inside it all our logos, like big health and safety file for things you might need, all the images we've got. There's a marketing file. So when we're doing gift with purchases, I'll put everything in there. So you want to make sure that you can get into it. I'll put the link into the chat so that we've got that. So I'll pop the link into the chat in case you haven't gotten there for any reason. And also remember, I have a broadcast WhatsApp for just our Pink salons where you don't have to speak to each other. It's just I send you the message and you can see it and then you can reply back to me. But for it to work, you have to have my phone number saved in your phone. So just make sure that you've got my mobile number. And if you know you're not getting any WhatsApp messages from me, so for instance, I would send one telling you that there's a masterclass, a Pinks Pro session coming up, then let me know and I will make sure that I get you in there, because it is, when you're in treatment, getting to your phone is definitely the easiest way to get the information you need. So we then are going to have a look at our 4 flavors. I know I'm blocking the wild mint and eucalyptus for a minute, but we'll do that one last. So let's start with the sweet orange and neroli. So the essential oils you want to know for this are sweet orange, neroli, patchouli, and ylang ylang. And that's the body oil that we refer to as escape. So sweet orange and neroli is our escape oil. It's really good for circulation. This is a pregnancy safe oil. So if you have anyone that's pregnant, I'm more than happy to use the sweet orange. And actually the citruses can be quite nice if someone has morning sickness. If you've got pregnant clients, though, we would always get them to smell first. They might want an unscented oil. Remember as well, actually not a lot of people in salons use it. It tends to be our spas, but we do have oil which is called Pinks Blend, which is just the 3 base oils, which is unscented. So basically it's the apricot, the jojoba, and the sunflower, just that, without any essential oil. And the reason we've got that is if you do need an unfragranced oil for pregnancy or anyone that's got lots of allergies, and also if you do any aromatherapy and mix your own oils, then you might want that as a base. So just to remember, when you look at the price list for Pinks Boutique, there is a Pinks Blend oil, which is an unfragranced, free of essential oil version. But then in body, you've got 4 that are pre-blended with essential oils. And these are the ones on the screen. So sweet orange and neroli. Remember, that matches manicure. So that is the same aroma for manicure. So if you buy sweet orange and neroli body oil, you can also fill up your Indonesian hand massage oil. They are technically the same. We've got bottles labeled differently because we wanted to keep the ranges color-coded. So you've got pink for manicure, pedicure, you've got the orange color for body, but they are the same. And the other reason I did it was, from your point of view, your biggest fixation always should be the costs of your business. And obviously, if you can buy one oil that then fits both of those, that is great for you because you're not having to hold two versions, basically. So sweet orange neroli matches manicure. Going to the side, that side, you've then got lemongrass and mandarin, which is your detox aroma. So the lemongrass and mandarin, as you can imagine, is your zesty, punchy one. Really good for anyone that feels like they need a bit of a slap in the face. Good for mornings, good for waking up. Less good if it probably wouldn't be my choice if it was the last treatment of the day for someone. So you've got the key essential oils in this are easy. They're the ones in the name, lemongrass and mandarin. That's all you've got to remember for those two. With the lemongrass and mandarin, I always just say, remember, lemongrass is a punchy oil. So I would not use it if someone was sensitive or had issues with sensitivity. It'd be the one I would stay away from, just because we know in an aromatherapy world, aromatherapy's almost got like a ladder of strengths of oils, and it is quite pungent essentially with lemongrass. So it's not for your sensitive skins. But underneath it, you have the rose range. Now, rose is a few more essential oils. There's actually 5 you need to remember. So you have actually got rose, you've got rose geranium, which is, I think, almost the predominant smell. I can smell rose geranium in it more than pure rose. And that was quite purposeful because pure rose often can have that real Marmite ability of like that kind of cheap granny type smell, which we really didn't want. So you've got rose geranium, you've got a little bit of lavender in there, you've got some ylang ylang, and you've also got Parma Rosa. Overridingly then, the rose one becomes the most obvious for sensitive skins, the most obvious for young skins if it's their first step into treatments, but also very, very good from an anti-aging point of view. So from a facial point of view, that's why we also use rose in facials, because of the skin repair benefits that those combination of rose oils will bring. And remember that the rose range in Pink's Boutique is the only range that is dual labeled face and body. So when you read the rose oil bottle, it will say rose and jojoba, face and body. But you'll pick up the lemongrass one and it will just say lemongrass body oil. So if it's just saying body, it's just body, whereas rose is dual labeled for both. So you use that in your facial range, you also use it in your body range. It is technically facial grade product. So your body really is getting a bit of a treat when it has the rose range, because it's made to facial grade, because we wanted it to go on both. So on this screen, the only one you can use in the face is the rose one. The other ones are all body. And then last but not least, she goes down, wild mint and eucalyptus. So this is the strongest aroma of all of them. It's wild mint, eucalyptus, geranium, and lavender. And it's also the smell that matches pedicure. So again, if you bought wild mint and eucalyptus body oil, you can fill up your Himalayan pedicure foot massage oil. And the same goes for the balms and the scrubs, that you could take wild mint body balm and fill up your foot balm pot. You can take sweet orange body balm and fill up your hand balm pot. They are the same. Now, from your point of view, that's totally fine. It's a win for you guys. There's less things you have to buy, fills up more pots. From a client perspective, people are really interesting. That I've had someone come to a till once and they got a wild mint body balm and they'd also got a foot balm. Now, bearing in mind, Pink's tagline is nothing but the truth. I would always, and I'll say genuinely, they are identical. you don't need both. You can use that one. And people are like, and really often they're like, yeah, well, I want them like that. I want both, because they like it when one says for their foot and one says for the body. So all I would do is, if it ever occurs at retail, I would just always tell them the truth, and then they can make their decision whether they're just taking one or they're taking the other. But really, you can see it's been done very much from a salon therapist point of view, because it makes your stock inventory much easier to deal with and keeps the spends down, basically. So these are your 4 body smells. The rose one also jumps over to face. When you get to facial product, there is another lemongrass and mandarin range, but that is different. So that is made differently to the body lemongrass range. So don't mix those two up. The lemongrass body one and the lemongrass facial one are different and should be kept differently. And the image you'll see in the middle is the 200-gram bottle. Let me grab some bottles. Okay, so the one you can see on the screen is the 200 ml. And that is normally the one that I would say you put on the treatment trolley. It's kind of the easiest to deal with while your hands are oily. There is a smaller one. So there is a 50 ml, which is glass and is the retail one. Okay, so there's a 50 ml for retail. You might have noticed recently that the bottle has slightly changed on this. Any of you that have had orders recently, the reason being it's got slightly shorter and fatter, which is not good if you're a human. The reason being, we quite often will have like every 6-12 months we'll go, right, let's review packaging, but from a like pure sustainability point of view. So looking at the energy it takes to produce it, what the impact on the world is, because we're well aware as an organic product brand that one of our biggest negative impacts is packaging. And the taller bottle for 50 ml that you used to get, we separately have to color that. So it used to arrive clear, and then we would make it the brown that we want to. And we were looking at the data of like the energy impact on it versus this one, which is slightly shorter and fatter, but it's made brown already at the very beginning. So it doesn't have to go through those processes. And we were like, we really need from a global point of view. So that's why they are swapping over. They're in the moment of swapping over at the moment. So we've got a slightly annoying thing where some of them are in one, some of them are in the other. But it is still 50 ml, even though it's shrunk itself slightly in its height. Okay, you then have liters. So this one is a liter of your body oils. And you also have my weights for the day, 5 liters. Okay, so I just want to point out that those sizes exist, because obviously from a cost per treatment, you will always have the best cost per treatment working out of 5 liters. The downside is they're more expensive at the beginning when they sit on an invoice. So it's partly to do with cash flow. But if you do have the cash flow to buy yourself liters or 5 liters, you should always do it, because each massage you do will be more profitable, because the oil really like changes in price when you start buying it in bulk sizes. And that will be the same for any of your brands, right? Let me get the oils out of the way. Perfect. Okay. So oils are done. Question I always ask in the Pinks Pro sessions is, do people have the marketing calendar? And it sounds crazy because we're nearly halfway through the year, but often people are like, no, still don't have it. So we obviously at the beginning of the year, we email them out, we send them to the WhatsApps, we put them in the Facebook groups, etc. But just to make sure that you've got it so you know what is coming up. I will always update you in these Pinks Pro sessions. But the idea, the reason we release it a year in advance is so that you can then use it and go, okay, well, that's what the Pinks people are doing. And I can place that in this month and this month and this month. those are done. So I only need my own ideas for this month, this month, this month. So make sure that you use it. Again, I'll pop the link in for any reason, and it's in the Google Drive file in the Business Hub in marketing, so that you can always get to that. Now, just as an example, this has gone, it's finished. So don't get excited. But this, if we'd have done this in April when we were meant to, this was the current offer with hydrating treatment oil. And this is why I want to make sure people aren't missing out on them. And the way they work is there'll be an offer for the client. So the client was spending £85 on retail and getting one free. But then there's also your version. And your version was if you spent £100 on products at trade, you were getting 3 of them free, so you could then give them to people. So that one was April's. What also happened in April, and the reason I've kept it in this presentation, is because some of these things are might still be useful, even if it's not now, for next year. And I've got the links that I'll pop into the chat. We did like a springtime themed retail area and a springtime themed manicure pedicure. So just log that in your head so you know that for next year they are there if you want them. And we talked about improving, well, I was meant to talk about improving gel and gel removal, but obviously it didn't happen. So it's happening now instead. Okay, so let's think about gel. So I said at the very beginning of this, for those of you that have just joined, one of the things when I'm running the Treat course, so Treat is a group of therapists, some of them are Pink's therapists, some of them are not, where they're basically going through a new course structure with me, which is really more business and coaching. So it's more, how do I make the best salon in the area? And it's basically like 25 years of my life piled into one place, going, if I was going to make the best salon in the world, this is what I would do from every step. What happens when you're standing at the front door, all the way through to all your client journey, all your menus, all the systems you have to have in the building. That's what some people are doing at the moment in Treat. And as part of it, there is a maths module where I really help people work out cost per treatment and profit. And we have an app made called Neo. And Neo basically helps you make your cost per treatment. But once it's done once, it's super easy because it knows it. You've got logged in cotton wool prices, you've got logged in spatula prices, you've got logged in your gel bottle price. And then if you go to the wholesalers or you order and your gel bottle price has changed, all you need to do in Neo is change it in one place, and it changes in every treatment. So you always know what's going on. But the biggest reveal, and I knew it would happen because I remember when I was doing nails, often what happens in salons, it's one of the things people can be busiest doing at the moment, gel, but you look at the profitability suddenly and then you're like, oh. And it's because it's a treatment where, because so many people do it, we feel like there's a cap on the pricing when we're competing in an area. And we feel that if everyone's doing it at, I don't know, £29, we have to. Or if everyone's doing it at £32, we have to. But you really, really need to look at the maths, because the price of gel has changed, as you probably well know, substantially in the last couple of years with everything that's happened from trade, and a lot of it's coming in from the US. So it has really impacted things. And so a lot of my therapists are actually getting rid of it. Some of them have got to the point where they're like, you know what? There's no logical reason to sit here and do this compared to doing a facial or a massage. But if you love it, if it's your passion, or if it's 80% of what you do, you probably don't feel ready for that game. So one suggestion is, let's make it better. Let's make applying gel better. Let's make removing gel better. And then let's really look at that profitability and make sure that we can charge more for it. So let's have a think about gel. Okay, let's stop that for a minute. I think this one will be easier without my face. We'll get rid of me for a bit. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about pure gel application. So this is someone having gel. We're not doing removal. We'll do removal second. So first idea, and I remember I will post up all of these documents so that you can get to them as well, is actually making your gel station look nicer than anyone else's, because they do tend to all look a bit the same because you need the same equipment. And very much salons have this approach of putting the therapist, the gel nail technician first, as opposed to the client first. And they will put all of the stuff they need, all of the equipment they need so that they can get to it easily because they're putting themselves first. Have a think, sit at your gel station and think, okay, if I flipped that and I was putting the client first and this was everything about them, how would this look? Would it look like it looks now? Or do I need to do something more clever, like hiding things? Do I need to use drawers? Can I make this nicer for them to be in, as opposed to thinking just about me and where everything is? So add some little beautiful touches. So for instance, there is no reason why you couldn't have little bowls with roses in, or little bowls with lavender lined up down the side. Clearly, we don't need them in gel. We're not going to be putting them in gel, but it looks nicer than a pile of nail files and Barbicide. Could you actually have some little like potted plants? Could you have a little rosemary plant? Could you have a little lavender plant down the edge? The other thing I would love to add, if you don't do it already, is some hot mitts. So I will have a pair of hot mitts that I'm either got in a cabinet, hot cabbie, or I've got a bowl hot sink of water that I can get to, because I want to add some little extras. And then it just explains there, do your client goggle audit, like sit there and go, right, what does this really look like for them? Like, for instance, could you take a pregnancy V cushion and have that over their lap? How does that work? Does it keep their hands? You might need your friend or husband or someone to test it with you, but like it will clearly make it more comfortable for them. Does it keep their hands in a good position for you so that you can still actually put the gel on well? Because obviously we can't have wonky lines, people. So yeah, what does it feel like for them to sit in, and what are they actually looking at? Because they have got zero interest sitting looking at dirty nail files, lint-free wipes, Barbicide jars. Like, that's not inspiring for anyone. And it doesn't inspire you to believe that you also do incredible body massage that I absolutely should have. So that's why you're always thinking. You might have like bread and butter treatments like gel, or bread and butter treatments like waxing. But how do you always get that person to believe when they're sitting there that if they move into something like facials or body treatments with you, that there's genuinely a special next level that just other people don't have? Okay, then I would consider adding a welcome touch. And I've got two versions. One is much more simple than the other. So you to think about. So the first version is that you sit down on your side and they sit down on their side. Okay. So you're not having to go anywhere different. And what will happen is that I would get them to relax, tell them to take a couple of deep breaths. And in the first version, I will pick up my Pink's elixir. So either my sweet orange elixir or my wild mint elixir. And I will spray around the desk and their hands to get this opening scent. Then I would take 2 hot mitts and I will spray the pink sanitizer on them. And I will place it over both their hands, and I would clean them and welcome them with a really nice spa touch using really firm, nice Kit Kat movements like we often do in our manicure and pedicure. So we've basically sat opposite each other. Their hands are on the desk. I've taken some elixir and I've sprayed around and introduced the scent to them. Then I've actually taken my hot mitts, put the sanitizer on, put my hands over the top of theirs, then really nicely cleanse them to say hello. Great from a hygiene, but also just making it feel a bit more spa. So that's our easy option. Our second option, and sometimes when I try and teach this, particularly in bigger salons, where if it was a new salon, they're all fine. But if they're already established and they've done gel for a long time and they know the clients, and I suggest the second one, they're a bit like, oh, aren't they just going to think it's a bit weird if I go and stand behind them and do something on their shoulders? I'm like, well, yeah, the first time they might, but put yourself in their position. If someone wants to massage your shoulders, how is that ever going to be a bad thing, really? So my other version is that they will have sat down, but we will go and stand behind them. And we will spray some of our elixir around their head and shoulders, get them to do 2 nice deep breaths. But while we're doing that, we will then do some really good shoulder pushes and squeezes. And then we come and sit down back in our chair and we do everything that we would have done in option 1. We do the hot mitts and sanitizer, we clean the hands, and we dry the hands. So the choice is kind of how theatrical and how much of the rest of them you want to include. When you haven't got staff to worry about and it's just you, I absolutely would be trying to choose the things that I think will make your clients the happiest. So basically, in that version, I would get them to sit down. I actually don't sit down. I just go straight behind them. I put one hand on the shoulder and I mist over, get them to take some deep breaths. And then I've got my hand on the shoulders. And because you're on their clothing, you don't want any oil or product yet. And you also can't do anything effleurage-y. You've got to be using pushes and squeezes because you're just on the clothes. So I'd be pushing their shoulders down. I could come and squeeze down the side of their arms, really basically showing them that you're a great massage therapist. They get to feel your hands and your touch, but also really starting that nervous system reset. Like they've just come from their busy lives and suddenly they're like, really like the beginning of a facial would be, or a body massage would be. I want them to have that feeling in my building, even if they're just having gel or if they're just having waxing. And if any of you haven't done the mini waxing course, we've got how to upgrade your waxing. It's got lots of these sort of ideas for waxing as well. I think that one is about £39 in the spa finishing school. So that's how we get them in. Then we just do all the gel as normal. Because remember, at core, I was an acrylic nail technician. You can't mess with the protocol. We've got to do it exactly as it needs to be so that we get it to stay down well and not lift. So do all your actual gel as normal. And then we come back in with the closing touches. So I'm going to put some Pink's Boutique cuticle oil on with a really nice drop and hold. And then I would take our Pink's Boutique hand balm and I would pick 3 key massage moves. If you have done our manicure, take 3 of your like favorite moves or the ones that you know they really, really like and do them really firmly and slowly. Because what often happens in gel salons is you'll see someone like pumps out some lotion and then they just take their client's hands and they're just like this. And that's not a nice massage. There's no point doing 12 things really fast. Just pick 2 or 3 and do them unbelievably strongly and slowly. So they've got no doubt that you're really good at massage. And again, you'll have that really calming impact on them. And just to refresh, remember, from manicure course, the way we do our cuticle oil is we will drop it and then we do a really like an actual pressure point, a hold. So we drop it on, pressure point, drop it on, pressure point, drop it on, pressure point. Again, not just being like everyone else, just like, here, have some cuticle oil. Because they really, you're touching them and like those touches count. And what's really weird is you'll know yourself if you're truthful. When you're doing facials and when you're doing body massage, you're always thinking about your touch. Like that's everything. From the minute you were trained in it, it was always, they can feel it, they can feel it, they can feel it, what's it about? And then sometimes in like mani-pedis and waxing and eyelash tinting, we all just like forget that. And we come very much like, oh, we're just here to do this. We're just doing it. Just remember that all of those touch elements really count. And then my last thing I would do is I will mist around with the Pink's elixir again, because then you've got like a bookend. You started with a mist, you end with a mist. And what you've obviously also done is you've got the opportunity to retail cuticle oil. You've got the opportunity to retail hand balm. If they like the smell of the mist, you can say, or you can take it and it's really good sprayed on like beds, linens. You've opened up those options. Now, the other thing I think we need to do with gel is have some options of upsells and add-ons. Because if we know it's a lot less profitable than some of our other treatments, this could be a way for us to try and help that. So for instance, you could have an upsell add-on for an anti-age treatment, just adds 10 minutes, but that what you're going to do is do an anti-age exfoliation with your Pink's Boutique hand exfoliant before all gel is done, and avoiding the nail plates. So keeping it very much about skin, wrist, arms. And then when that has come off, take your Pink's Boutique anti-age serum from facial and put that over the skin. So that before you've even started the gel process, you've exfoliated all the hands, you've taken your serum, and basically the next 40 minutes while you're sitting doing gel, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, depends how quick you are, the skin is actually getting that anti-age treatment. So the skin's getting that treatment option. Then, at the very end, when you put your hand balm on, I would add a couple more drops of the anti-age serum into the hand balm or the oil that you're using. So they've got that upgrade. The other upgrade add-on that you could do for your gel treatments is an extended hand and arm massage. So like adding a 10 minutes after all the gel is on, complete, finished, doing a full Pink's Boutique hand and arm massage. So your manicure routine, again, you could stand up, you could come around and do the shoulders. But it's definitely worth having those add-ons. And the ideal places to have these add-ons would be if you've got a website that can do it. Websites have the ability, when someone's clicked gel service, to pop up a little box that says, would you like to add these on? Or when you're taking the booking on the phone, you offer them up. Or the other thing is you can have them printed on like little cards. And when they arrive, and if you do them like a little welcome drink at the beginning, that you have a tray with the drink and it's printed on the card and they get the choice there and then. The only thing with that problem, obviously, is that depends. You need to have the time after. So if you know you've got a booking straight away after and they can't do that, don't give them the card. But if you know that you've got space and you've got an empty gap, then you could show them the add-on opportunity. But if you can start making add-ons in a building work, it really, really can start to make a difference, because our mantra always should be try and, instead of fighting to find new clients, how do we make more from the people that we've already got? That is always the thing we should do first. Then yes, we might still need more new clients, but let's go for them first. Okay, back to the share. So then let's think about removal. So the first big challenge of removal is charging for it or not. I think now you have no option. It has to be charged for. It takes too long. You cannot be giving that level of time without charging for it. I would probably suggest having a price that you charge for it if it's just removal, and then having a price, discounted price, where if it's removal and the gel is going back on, so that there is a little bit of leeway that it seems like you're trying to help. But ultimately, it is still a service. It's still taking your time and it's still taking your product. The other thing you could always do is, I used to do this back in the day, is sell like a little home care kit for them to remove it themselves. We know there's much risk of them doing that, and it's why a lot of people don't like them doing it. But you could do, but you'd need to put really good instructions in it. A, how they don't do it, how they're not allowed to pull it off, rip it off. But also, if you're handing over acetone, that they're really, really clear. This should never be heated. if you spill it on your table, it will melt. One of my mum's posh dining room tables had Kirstie fingerprints in it from acetone. So you'd have to have those sort of rules as well. And you can either, cheapest way is always to kind of build the kits for them, go into the wholesalers, buy the little pieces they'd need, or some of the brands, the nail brands do sell them as well. But that way, if you've got an option, if anyone gets arsy about having to pay to have gel removed, at least you've got another option of going, oh, well, there is this home care kit as well. Okay, how are we going to make it nicer then when we're doing it? So first thing, in my setup, I would like to have something that's hot. So maybe hot stones, or it could be a hot water bottle, or it could be a cherry stone sack. And I will have my anti-age serum as well from facial. My opening touch, I will do exactly the same as when we're doing the gel. So you could choose either one of those opening touches. So I still want breathing, I still want misting, I still want my hot mitts. The reason I want something hot is I want something that their hands are going to go on the desk, because heat is going to always speed up acetone. Not the acetone being heated, remember, no microwaving acetone. But if I've got hot stones under their hands, if I've got a hot water bottle under their hands, it will make the process quicker, but it just feels nicer. So it's like a win-win scenario that other people aren't doing. So you want to think about putting hot stones under their hands for removal, hot bag, like a cherry wheat bag obviously isn't as hot, so it doesn't work as effectively from the heat, but it's quite comfortable to be on. Maybe again, get one of your like VIPs or a friend and like have a little play of what it feels like. Like try hot water bottles, lovely because it's got the heat, but do they feel like they're wobbling too much on the water for you? But you'll be always lifting their hand up anyway to file. If you use wraps, then all of those heated methods are easy because the foil wrap is obviously on the fingers and they're sitting with the heat. If you use like a clam-shaped bowl to melt, then you're going to need to think about how that heat gets added, because obviously they can't be sitting on a stone. So that might need to be more like the cherry stone sack that comes over the top of them. So we've got our opening touch. If you're using foil wraps, then my suggestion is the hot stones or hot water bottle. If you're using a soak bowl, then we need something heat-wise that's going over the top of them. So wheat bags, warm towel. You can get like heated pads that go on the desk that you could maybe have like under their wrist and arm. While they are soaking, I then want to do some nice things to the skin on their hand. So I'm going to put 3 drops of my facial anti-age serum onto the back of their hands, because then I can also talk to them about why they should be using it on their face and how it's going to prevent aging on their hands, and how Kirstie well knows that because she didn't look after her hands as well as she has done her face, that she's now got age spots and all sorts of things happening on this hand that are not happening on her cheek so much. So it's a nice route to facial to get someone talking about facial, because I meet so many therapists that say, I desperately need my gel clients to start having facials. Well, this is a way to try and get them to facial. Like maybe then we could give them a little sample to take home. We could get them to use it on their face. And then my closing touches, I'm also going to do my drop and holding of cuticle oil, my firm 3 pressure massage moves, my misting to finish. So these are basically my little ideas of how to make gel application and gel removal better than other people's, but that isn't going to add time unless you're selling them an add-on that is meant to add them time. So it's really about having some things in the right place, a couple of little props, extra little bowls, and giving it a go. Because if you do know from your profitability of that treatment that you need to put that price up a bit, then raising a price while also raising the standard of a treatment is always a great combination. Straight raising a price and everything being the same is never quite as easy for client to swallow. Okay. Anyone in the chat got any questions about gel? You can always send me messages if you have. I'm just going to pop into the chat now my phone number if we need WhatsApp broadcast, the marketing calendar for any reason you haven't got to it, the springtime elements that came from April. So they're all going in there now. And then I will also, when I post this masterclass into the Business Hub, so there's a folder in Business Hub in marketing that's got masterclasses, and it will have the screen. So you'll be able to get all the slides that I had, but it will also have all the associated documents. So I'll pop gel in there. And then I'll also pop it out on WhatsApp and into the Facebook group as well. Okie dokie. So hopefully that's a bit of food for thought for gel. Obviously, from my point of view, chemically, it's just something I just don't get myself involved in anymore. But I still have that like nail tech inside me who knows she wants to make nail treatments good. Now, moving from what should have happened in April to what's now happening with gift with purchase. So the one that is literally gone live just last week is a foot focus gift with purchase. So from a client perspective, they spend £60 on any Pinks Boutique retail, and they can get a foot balm for £5. So they only pay £5 instead of £26 like normal. So that's their offer. For you guys at Trade, when you spend £100 plus VAT on retail sizes, so those bottles have to be 200 mils and under, then you can buy 2 foot balms for £2.50 plus VAT while stocks last. So it's worth always thinking about these when you're doing your orders to see what works best for you guys. And you get that option to do that on one order in June or July. So we also want to give you some flexibility, because we know when we put this out, you might not instantly need product, but you can activate that for one order in either June or July. We've also got a treatment drive option for you as well, where you can buy, we've made a little set which has a baby cuticle oil, so a little petty 3 ml cuticle oil, 5 gram foot balm in a little mini brown bag. You can buy them at £5 plus VAT, and you can work them into a package. So I wouldn't probably do it on a standard pedicure, because you don't want to be losing £5 on a standard pedicure. But if you wanted to put together some sort of like hand and foot focused or foot focused ideas, because we are literally in the season of feet, a package, that it might be really nice to go in the package so that you've got that little gift for them free. Like it could be something like combining reflex and pedicures, or a pedicure and gel treatment and a mini facial. Like ideas, always try and think when you get to doing seasonal packages. I always think a seasonal package, the best way to do it is to just Frankenstein treatments that you've already got. So things you know how to do already, and like chop a bit and add it to another bit, so that you can create something new that you can tell your regulars about that sounds new, but for you, it isn't a stress. You don't have to learn anything new. You've already got the product. And that is always really nice if you can then add some sort of treatment product element in there as well. So that's what those little kits are. So the little black 5 gram foot balm pot, little cute pipette, cuticle oil in a little Pinks brown bag. Now those ones, with both those offers, you would still do your order as normal. So either on the phone with Natalie or on B2B, and just put in the notes that you want the foot balm offer if you're buying the £2.50 ones. And just so you know, in B2B, I haven't loaded that little mini foot kit in as a SKU on its own. So you just need to email us and say, please, can I order however many of those that you want? Because they don't exist on a little SKU there on their own. Perfect. Okay. Gift with purchase, marketing, done. Gel, done. Body oils, done. Okay, next up on the hit list. Some of you might have seen this, some of you might have not. I wanted to put it in here to remind people that it exists and to gather any sort of thoughts from people as whether they'd like me to do some extra teaching sessions on maybe how you could use a consultation like this. So what we have, and obviously you've got complete access to have it, is a Pinks consultation. So it's a much more detailed lifestyle consultation. And you'll see my little fish in a bowl. The idea is that the perfect world, that every new Pinks client that arrives, I would put them through quite a detailed consultation to begin with, so they understand why we are different and what we're trying to do for them, which is we're not just here banging around in the background, Lucas, be quiet. They were not just here to give them a great facial or body massage or set of nails. We're here to try and really help them change their world. And the idea is I explain to people and say, really, we are all like goldfishes in a bowl. You can only be as healthy and as well or look as good as the water around you allows. And this is the real proper message of why I started Pinks Boutique. Was it's all good and well worrying about your skin and what you want it to look like, but what about everything else that is impacting you in every direction? And so the goldfish has got some numbers on it. Number one is the water it's in. So this is your environment, like the toxicity of your environment. What are you breathing in? What are you surrounded by all day long? Two is the gut. What is this goldfish eating? And what's that going to do to the skin, the gut and the microbiome? Three is the goldfish mind, its brain. What is the goldfish thinking, telling itself every day, making itself believe? And how's that going to affect its skin? And four is its actual skin, its scales. How beautiful are those? And so I got this idea that if you have the right vibe in your salon, that you could have this world where the first time someone meets you, you actually have quite a different consultation, the goldfish consultation, where we go through everything. And so I'm not going to, oh, hold on, got my goldfish. Come back. Come back, fishy. Okay. I won't go through all of it now. I will send it over to anyone that wants it, but we literally go through sleep. Is your bedroom blacked out? Is your phone allowed in your room? How many hours are you sleeping? Exercise, traveling, environment, SPF, what hair care products are you using? What drips down your face in a shower? What do you spray at your hair? What household cleaning products are you breathing in your kitchen? What deodorant, what perfume, what aftershave? What are you eating? What are you drinking? Have you got tattoos? Have you got piercings? All of these things count. And so it then gets into facial, like we would normally expect, but details like, do you use face cloths? Have you got flannels? How hot is the water that you're washing your face in? And then we can really bespoke suggestions for their whole well-being, not just skin, because really, it's quite a different way of making sure that someone never leaves you. Like if you've chosen Pinks Boutique because your beliefs of organic and the way you run your lifestyle are like this, then I'm getting to the point where I'm thinking maybe with age, I need to start helping them a bit more with it as well. So if any of you, when you see my goldfish, go, yes, I would like to get people in goldfish bowls, let me know. Message me, because I think it was the sort of thing that you can have that consultation now. I'll hand it over now, and you could start using it. But if you look through it and you think, actually, I don't feel like I've got enough knowledge right now to be able to talk to them about why they shouldn't be spraying that perfume, then we could always have some sessions where that's what I go through. So I teach you what you need to explain, what you need to say, what they need to avoid. Okay, so that is my goldfish. And my last thing is I want to think about some actual movements. So my idea today was that we take a deep dive on the QL muscle. Now, if you remember, my first business was beauty schools, pure beauty schools. So I was I think the youngest person ever to run a VTCT exam center. And I was MVQ assessor, internal verifiers, etc. Like I was the person standing with the clipboard doing your body massage assessments on those days that you didn't like. And there's a few things that as I've got better at massage and as I've gone further into much deeper massage training, and particularly with Proverb, because we do so much stretch and more pushing it closer to being a physiotherapist without being one. I've got involved in different muscles. And one of the things that makes me smile is that I now use and talk about muscles in training that weren't even on that level 3 diagram. And I'm like, how were they not there? Now, one of the ones that I think we possibly did know about level 3, but he was never a star of a show, is the quadrus lumbatum, the QL. And when people have lower back problems, he is one of the most problematic muscles. And so I'm going to show you where he is first and talk about him a little bit. And then I want to actually have a look. I'll get Luke on the bed and we'll go through a wobbly moment where I have to move the camera into a different place. And then we will have a go at actually finding it and massaging it. Okay. So the first picture where you can see the bone is looking from the front of the body. The second picture is technically looking from the back, but actually first picture is pretty good. Your QL muscle, you've got one on both sides, and it basically comes from your iliac crest, so that bone in your lower back, and it goes up to the 12th rib, your bottom rib. And what you'll see is it attaches to the lumbar spine. So it's actually attached to lumbar 1, 2, 3, 4, as you'll see it goes down. So we need to know about it because he causes lots of issues, particularly when someone is talking about sciatica. Like this is something that I would want to make sure is okay, that we've really included the QL. If people are moaning about lower back pain, any like shooting pains that are coming through their legs, it's also really problematic from sitting a long time. So I find if I do long car journeys, so if I'm driving to spas and salons a long way away, my left one really starts to play up. But its job technically is to stabilize your lumbar spine. That's why it's attached to it. And it helps keep you upright. It also is the thing that helps you side bend. So when you go in one direction and you bend your body to the side. So if you guys stood up now and in fact, do it, stand up and she goes up and just literally bend to one side. It is involved in that movement. And sometimes I can feel it. If you can feel anything close to your spine when you do that side bend, that is most likely your QL telling you it aches. It also actually helps with breathing because it's helps stabilize the 12th rib. You'll remember that muscles often come in pairs and where they have that antagonistic action. One does one thing, one does the opposite. Again, a muscle that you probably wouldn't have really dealt with in level 3 will if you've gone on to do sports massage. On the other opposite side, so it's on the spinal side, on the front side, there's a muscle called the psoas, PSOAS, and they're the pair. They don't really exist for most beauty therapists massaging. They only really exist when you get into sports massage, but they cause real issues from sitting. When people talk about hip flexors being tight, the psoas is a hip flexor. Sitting basically is the devil, and all of your clients will probably have trouble with it. And it's something that we may not have been really specific about in our massage. And so from today, what I want you to be is just specifically find it and specifically work it. And you will be amazed because everyone just goes, oh, it's like you found one of those magic spots. So what we need to do is I want to show you on camera how we easily find it. and we know where it is, and then what we can do with it, basically. Okay. So, moving time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move this camera over there. I'd probably close your eyes for a minute, or maybe grab yourself a glass of water, because if you're watching, it gets really wobbly. It makes you feel a bit seasick. As Kirstie moves the world around. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is just actually work out what is going on anatomically here to begin with. This takes Kirstie to her happy place teaching you about A&P. Right then, so we know anything black is going to be bone. So we know this is our spine. Okay. And then what I want you to kind of identify around the bottom is we want to find where your iliac crest is. So that is, when you look at the anatomy diagrams, that is the kind of rainbow-shaped bone where you have okay. So you basically, it's going to be coming to that. And then you also then want to find, so I'm going to show you the long hallway first, and then I'll show you a slightly easier way. The bottom rib. Now, obviously, you won't go poking round like this when you're doing it in a massage, but when you're using like a helpful friend to help you be model, okay? Okay, and I've got two hands where those things both are. Basically, the gap between those things, really most of that is QL muscle. So you will have the muscle that we're super used to already. I'm going to do this one in blue, the erector spinae. So we know that we've got some lovely erector spinae muscle. His obviously does carrying on. I'm just not going to draw on him for the sake of it. Coming up here. And then this QL muscle is going to be between that gap that I showed you on that iliac crest, that rib between there. And it is slightly diagonal. And it maps the same on the other side. Let's see if we can get a closer view of that. Going to see if I can move you guys a bit closer. Okay, now another way that you can find it, and this is probably the easiest way in treatment, is if you put your hands on your fingers, onto the erector spinae and just slide off, like you're kind of falling off, like you're diving down, you will have found the QL muscle. So this lower section, like with your oil, just let your fingers slip from the vertebrae, the erector spinae, and you'll basically fall into a little dip. It's like you've gone down slightly. That will be, can you see I'm in the right place of where this muscle is? So really what I want you to know is that it's there. You've really only got about 4 inches of it, but when you are massaging the lower back, it is a critical place that you should be massaging. Now, how is our next question? Different things that you could do on it. Now, obviously, I'm going to add a little bit of oil. What will happen is my marks might get a bit smudged. Also, clearly don't massage with your jewelry on, like Kirstie has got on here. But things that I like to do on this, when I know where I am, the top part of it, the one that's going to start on lumbar 1, is normally an amazing trigger point. Luke, can you feel that? Are we in the right place? And so you're almost kind of, you can see how the lines are smudged together. You're almost a rectus spinae, bit of a rectus spinae, your thumb's got a bit of a rectus spinae and a bit of QL at the same time. Now, I actually find it easier working on the one that's opposite me. So if I'm on this side of the bed, I will work this one and then I'll come around to the other side and work this one, but have a little go yourself. So options are genuinely like holding trigger points in there. But really, once you know where it is, anything you like to do, so it could be thumbs, it could be heels, it could be forearms, you can work this area in any of those routes. But obviously, what you need to know is where it starts and the direction it is going in. And it definitely feels better going from top, like L1, down to your iliac crest. The jewels are coming off. It's like when you've got your hair down, just something feels incredibly wrong, like you can't touch someone. Okay, now just ignore me for a minute. I've got to get some oil on there. So obviously, if we were concentrating lower back massage, what I would make sure you're really doing is the first thing, you've got to get blood to that area. And one thing I would really suggest is that you get braver about how far round you're willing to come, because it feels really lovely to get the front included as well. And remember, those oblique muscles are going all the way round. And also, if you were thinking about this from a manual lymphatic drainage point of view, all of his lower back has to drain to the inguinals around the front. So it has to wrap like that. So including and kind of bringing up this side really makes a nice difference. So this is me at the moment, just warming up this side, smudging all my muscles away. I haven't found any pens that are good to write on skin yet that will withstand oil. Okay, so now I've got my oil. That slipping game is much easier, where I put my fingers on the erector spinae, slip down, and I know that I've got that QL muscle there. And I want to start here. Now, I won't go firmly to begin with. I'll just go start investigating. Anytime I'm using thumbs or fingers, if you don't use thumbs or fingers because you prefer to use other elements of you, like your heels, please do so. Don't do anything that is painful for you. But in terms of direction, we want to be coming all the way down to that bone. And when you have warmed them up, it does get, just got to press and let someone in. Okay. So Elaine, I can see that you've just joined. We've just got to the last piece of Masterclass where we're talking about QL muscle. So just revising from the top, I won't do it now because I've got oil there. You've got your erector spinae muscle coming up. You've got the vertebrae in the middle. You've got the iliac crest bones here. And from the last rib, 12th rib to the iliac crest, there is quite a short, maybe like 3-4 inches of QL muscle. But the one that I really want everyone to be obsessed by. Anyone you massage today, this week, let's go find their QL. Okay, so that's just drawing it on again. It's here. But what I was just doing is just warming up. So when I found those trigger points, you could go in with elbows. You'll see I've got my fingers protecting so I'm not near the spine. And it's also a really nice muscle to come cross transverse. So putting my heels basically on the erector spinae, but then sliding down across it. So coming across the muscle fibers as opposed to following them straight down at this point. Now, obviously Luke's big, so I've naturally put two hands on top of each other because I'm reinforcing my hands to support and to try and give him a bit more depth. In honesty, probably what I do if this was a real treatment is I drop this bed as well because he needs more strength than the average 5'6" gal. Okay, so things though, think of how you could start to move that in the direction you want. So I will work most of my QL from this side, but if I do want to bring my elbow in, so I've now gone to my other QL side, I do find it easier for the one that's closer to me. Luke, tell us how this feels.
My favorite one.
Your favorite. And I have to say, I've probably put this in this masterclass because as a household, genuinely, this is both of our favorite muscle, but that tells you something as to how problematic it is for someone that works in an office, who drives a car a long way, who does long haul travel, and the fact that nobody you ever go to, unless you're having a sports massage, ever works on it. I mean, that looks like I'm doing absolutely nothing and it looks super boring, but I can feel how amazing that must feel to him underneath. So I'm literally just using my elbow once I've warmed up to do the whole length of that muscle. So basically from that base rib to there. But interestingly, like on this side, he's really tighten it at the top, whereas on this side, it's slightly lower down, that it's different. So the actual massage techniques, when you get to it, are no different, but it's knowing where it is. And so we said you either do it by finding the iliac crest, the 12th rib, and knowing you've got the gap between them, or you put your fingers on the erect spinae and you just slide down. And when you feel like you've kind of dived down a little bit, you know that that is your piece of muscle that you're really working on. Now, we're on the back of him, so that QL is there. On the other side of the spine, so it's like underneath it, is the psoas, which we'll save for another day, but is also really problematic in hip flexors. And just, I think before Elaine joined as well, I think when we were warming this area up, I was telling people to be much braver about really coming round and under, because one, you can help deliver lymph to the inguinal because it has to go round to the front, but also you're really making sure you've got those obliques involved as well. And my other thing for lower backs would be just to be as brave as you possibly could of pulling these towels down, because once, and we're not doing piriformis or glutes today, but if you're doing and always should be doing piriformis and glutes in your massage, you will need that down. So another reason we love sarongs, because you could just have a sarong over and then you could be working through a sarong because it hasn't, towels are thick so they get in our way, but the sarongs won't, but you could still make them feel like they were covered a little bit more. But I think you really need lots of QL, particularly for anyone that's saying they've got lower back pain, they've got sciatica, or that their lifestyle is telling you that they sit in a car all the time. Now, one other way that we can get to QL really nicely is if he lies on his side. Now, side lying isn't super common other than in pregnancy massage, but I sometimes think it's quite underrated. If someone really needs help with a shoulder, being on their side is sometimes the best place. And if someone needs help with a QL, side is good. So Luke, if you turn so that the back is camera facing and you're this way. So you might just still faintly be able to see where I've got my red drawing of that QL muscle. But obviously in this position, I've got really lovely access to So one, it's just actually a nice position for me to get to it. These knuckles that are coming down, the knuckles are not unusual, but what I really want you to see is my elbow here is pinned in my stomach. Because he's strong and I need more strength, I'm wrapping my wrist to protect it, and I'm actually physically digging. That's better. I'm resting my elbow in my stomach so that I can push my whole body against it. Okay, so if we know that the QL muscle is a problem, I would find a way to get them on the side. It's also probably likely that if the QL is causing an issue, they'll be feeling it in their glutes and they'll be feeling it in the side of their leg as well. So it's also an amazing place to get in and do glute massage and to come down and do ITB massage as well. So don't underestimate in your more standard kind of 60-minute treatments getting someone onto the side. The last thing that you could do to help this QL muscle when they are on the side, I'm going to take this off. You wouldn't take your toweling off your client, but it'll just be easier for you to see. Okay, so pretend he's still covered. What you can do is straighten the top leg and make him drop it off the bed slightly to the back. Okay, hold on, let's have a look at his leg. Can you see what he's done? Because does that feel tighter instantly? What he's just done, well, what we've done, we would make him. So you straighten their top leg and you let it dangle behind them. You can, I don't know if you can see on the camera, but instantly in person here, I can just see the definition and how much tighter that's got instantly. And basically the fascia is now going to be tighter. So does that feel stronger, Luke?
Yeah.
So it feels much, much stronger with me just doing the same moves because I've used his limb. So the limb has to go straight and it has to come and hang backwards. Let's go to the foot, slightly off. That would also put us in some incredible position to be doing ITB band and massaging pressure points into the glute as well. But Kirstie has to stop because she's not allowed to do glutes today. It's about QL. Okay, so back to this QL. And obviously when they're side lying, you will do the top one. And then when they side lie the other way around, this would be the top one. Really nice erector spinae as well. So start to think of like in the lower back, erector spinae and QL being friends who kind of need dealing with. The top start bit here, you'll get both of them and then it will come diagonally down to just being about QL. Okay, so what we've done now is we've gone side lying and we can get there. And then we've done side lying with leg hanging slightly off the back of the bed. But on your own, when you're in your own bed, your sleep bed, try doing that and just like putting your leg straight and hanging it off behind you. And you will feel the difference here in this QL area. Thank you, model.
My pleasure.
Now we can get them off. So yeah, so my idea with these Pinks Pro sessions is to always basically take a muscle and really give you some different ways of dealing with it. Because obviously I've done lots and lots of different style massages and spend a lot of time now in more like sports physio elements, which it's fun just to be able to pick those little bits and make them really different. Because like when we talked about gel nails earlier and how we're always trying to be better than everyone else, massage is a wondrous way to be able to do that but it's different. It's not about what you buy. It's about actually knowing the anatomy. And I know that's not cool and it's not fun and it's not any of us loved at the beginning, other than me when I was at school, and a few in between. But the better you can become at it, the better you will be at treatments. And all of this is about getting them to get off the bed and say, that was the best X I've ever had. That was the best facial. That was the best body massage. That was the best gel application I've ever had. So that brings us to the end of our Pinks Pro session. So what I'm going to do, let me bring camera back in place. And if anyone that's here live has any questions, then you guys can jump in. But if not, camera's got to stay on the big one. So I'm now up here. Anyone got any questions for me that is here live? If you have, you can unmute yourself. I'm just putting into the chat the link to that consultation card, the goldfish consultation. And I've also put the posters for the gift with purchase for the June and July in there as well. Apologies if I'm a bit of a wonky donkey at the moment. We're on a slight slant. Okay. Anyone that's here got any questions for me? You can unmute yourself and jump in. If not, I am 7 minutes over time. Apologies. Too excited by my QR muscles. So anyone that needs to run off, do so. Anyone that's watching this afterwards and has got any questions, just pop them over. Okay, so hold on, let's have a look in the chat. We've got some questions. So Selena just said, if someone had a really sore QL, could we apply heat as well? Yep. Always with any muscle groups that you know you need to work more, like warming up with heat before is nice. Or if any of you have like infrared lamps, you could leave that over the area specifically. And always as a good tip, because when you go on to do things like manual lymph drainage, if someone's got a particularly problematic side or a good side, I'll often work the good side first and then do the problematic side after. But yeah, what's really nice, I always remember back in the day when I had my VTCT schools, we had to have, like, we couldn't get the accreditation without having what I thought of as very old-fashioned infrared lights that you could like shine on people. But now, because of the well-being 360-degree move, they're like super fashionable again. So yeah, having infrared light is a good thing. And Lucy says, oh, good. I've had lots of clients recently with lower back pain, so that's going to be really helpful. Cool. So in the lower back series, the QL is without a doubt my number one. What I would then do next, and maybe this is the answer to what we do on the next Pinks Pro session, we'll keep it logical. Next, we should go piriformis and glute, and then possibly like round to the front for psoas as well. But yeah, I think that the real missing piece of the puzzle in lower back massage is that QR muscle, because as I said, in our schools in level 3, pure Swedish, it just wasn't even there to teach. It wasn't on the exam, that's for sure. It became later when you got to more sporty stuff. And also now what I do a lot of specialist work in, and you'll see how the leg and how I drop the leg off the back, because of proverb influences, is kind of more advanced stretching movements and using their limbs a lot more. So let me know if you're interested in that side as well. I do actually have an advanced stretch body massage course, which is hidden in Spa Finishing School, technically belongs to Proverb. But if anyone knows they want to do that, where they're using a lot more of things like when I just drop that leg out to the side, then let me know. Okay. Perfect. Right then. Thank you so much, those of you that are here live, those of you that watch it after. Send over any questions, and it was amazing to see you, and I hope it all helps. But yeah, big things to do: go massage some QLs, think about the gels, and if you haven't seen the marketing calendar, make sure you do, and remember that one order in June, July gets those offers. And if anyone wants to know more about the treat course and doing that whole how do I be the best at everything, which is basically Kirstie on speed, doing lots of this all the time of every aspect you can think of, then let me know about that too. All right, team. Thanks for being here.
Thanks.
Lovely to see you. Bye, Carly. Bye, Lucy. Bye, Lane. Bye, Selena. Lane, I'll get the recording sorted out so you can watch all of the first bit as well.